Hello YouTube, Intuitive Edge here, checking in again. Today I would like to look at something that it's more international news. We have heard a little bit here in the States, but unfortunately the United States news isn't covering this much. But what's really been on my heart and what I want to look at today is what is going on in Venezuela. They have a lot of unrest there, a lot of political unrest. Their president has come in and he's trying to, he wants to rewrite the Constitution, and he's getting a lot of backlash. And there's a lot of people going hungry because their food supply is not getting distributed, and it's a mess down there. They're having hundreds of people rioting. People dying in the streets. It's just an awful mess. So I want to look at what's going on with that, and obviously, we want things to, get better for the people down there because they're certainly suffering a lot. But I want to look at what is going down there. I want to look at the president. What kind of person is he? Is he basically a good person? He's just in over his head trying to take control of this whole thing, or is he a Pol Pot in the making? Also, what is their economy? Their economy is a mess right now, but is it going to get better? Is it going to get worse? What's going to happen with their economy? And then I'd also like to look kind of what's on the horizon for them. There are some people saying that Venezuela is going to absolutely devolve into civil war, and is that on the horizon, or is there some sort of, are they going to be able to regain their freedom and their human rights, justice, or, are they going to just devolve further into this kind of this awful sinkhole that they're in? So let's take a look at what the cards have to say. So we're going to look at Venezuela. We're going to look at the leader, at their economy, and what's on the horizon. So I'm going to shuffle up the cards. And give me a moment here. And just shuffling up a couple more times here. Venezuela, and what's going on down there? Got so much going on. Okay, I think we're good. All right, so I'm going to cut the deck. Let's see what we've got. We're going to do President Maduro, the economy, and what's on the horizon. So we have the Seven of Cups. This is a card of basically a lot going on, a lot of choices, almost too much on someone's plate. It does sound like he's obviously probably very overwhelmed with all of the chaos in his country, trying to regain control, trying to, keep some semblance of normalcy, and it feels, obviously there's a lot going on, and it's affecting a lot of different areas. Everything from international relations, even to their economy, which I believe is primarily oil. So we're gonna look at more too what he's about. But right now it looks like he's just got a lot on his plate. This is almost a card of being overwhelmed. It can mean that. And then we have the economy for them. This feels like there's work being done. This is the card of working on something. It's like they're really trying to work on getting their economy going and back together, to keep it from falling apart, basically. There's probably a lot of strategy in that regard. But we're going to get more too on is it going to get better? Is it going to get worse, kind of thing. Then we have on the horizon war, or are they going to be able to avoid war and come out? Or, are they going to devolve into a dictatorial regime? I get the King of Wands being on here tells me that that the leader down there is definitely looking to be a very strong figure, an authoritative figure. I think it feels from this that he's really wanting to really put his strength and power and his might, kind of his stamp of approval on that. This feels really like he could turn into somewhat of a dictator. He could be a very forceful type of leader. Let's take a look at more. As far as President Maduro, again, back here, this is interesting, because we have the overwhelmed feeling, too much going on, a lot going on, and then there's this, this is a card of offering, like being offered, and it's reversed. This is telling me that he's kind of like, he knows he needs help, he's overwhelmed, but he's not really asking he's not really wanting help, especially help from the outside world. It's like he's trying to figure this out himself, do it his own way, and he's not really interested in working with like strategic partnerships that could help him. There could be other nations, like I know that they don't really, their government doesn't really like the United States, and the United States, I believe, could be or might be interested in helping them in some regard. Maybe, I don't know how, but this feels like they don't really want anybody else's help. They may be forced to, if their economy is imploding, they may be forced to come to the table, and if they don't want to face sanctions or whatever, maybe trade sanctions for aid. I don't know how that works, but if they may have to be forced to come to get help from people that they don't normally like, which would, I would think, be the United States and others also. So anyway, that's what that feels is like. This doesn't want help. It doesn't want other people's help. Leave us alone. But yet they're in crisis. They need help. Okay. Their economy. So I get that they're working, that there's a lot of work being done trying to stabilize their economy. They've got this giving and receiving. What is this? Giving. Okay, this is something to do with the distribution of how they are distributing their economy. And forgive me if I'm not talking in like real technical terms here. I just this is also another card of like offering. You're giving something, and this there's like a disconnect between what they're giving and who's getting it. So I think that there's a lot of the people are obviously suffering. It feels like the what's being distributed is like being given a little unfairly. Like, I don't know this. I'm just as a for instance, like the elites down there, the governments, their families are taken care of, their kids are taken care of, and yet there's a whole sections of people that are not receiving aid, and we're not. It's like there's favoritism going on between who's getting what and what people are getting, and it feels like there's a huge demand. There's a huge demand from the population, like, and I've read just a few reports, not a lot, but just there are volumes and volumes of people that are basically being starved. They're not getting the food, and this is, for me, this looks like somebody's hoarding hoarding the goods, and they're just piecemealing it out little by little, but not giving it out to allay the need. It's not in proportion to the need down there. Um, and it feels too like this government figure type in this imagery is sitting on all this wealth, and but the people, they're not only not able to really get it, but the means to acquire it themselves is not there either. So so they're forced to depend on this person that is hoarding it, because they don't have the means. I don't know what the job situation down there is, or but they're not only not getting it, but they're not able to acquire it on their own either. And so being forced to go to somebody when they're not being fair, handing it out, is really unfortunate. And that's what I see going on in their economy right now. We had the high priestess on this next train, is the kind of what's on the horizon. And I saw just kind of a really strong, kind of wanting to really, a strong leader coming in, wanting to really kind of put the hammer down, be really strong. But he's got the high priest, which is interesting because that card reversed, tells me this is a picture of a dictator. I hate to say it, but it really is. This is a picture of somebody who is taking social, political, religious type authority and control over something. And it just coupled with that king, that's a very strong card. And of course it is, I think that the leader is going to put even more of a clamp down there, which is unfortunate because they need a lot of help, and sometimes going in with an iron fist is not exactly the best approach. But all right, we're gonna look one more time. Okay. So this is the partnership card, and what's interesting about that is it's reversed. I'm feeling like Venezuela is going to be forced, as I mentioned with this other card, I think that's kind of dovetailing with the previous interpretation, is they're going to have to come to the table and be forced to partner with nations that they don't necessarily want to. I also feel like this could be I wanted to say that there are partnerships of other nations. I don't know what I want to say with that. Maybe I shouldn't say that. It feels like there's something in place already that's a little bit not exactly on the up and up. Let me put that aside, and I'll flesh that out a little bit more before I speak too much about that. But anyway, this partnership card feels like they are going to have to come and be forced to either make partnerships or break partnerships. Like, there may be somebody that they're partnered with, whether it's like another terrorist country like Iran or something, that might kind of be a thorn in their side, or it might get exposed, or it might kind of play into problems with them being able to negotiate with other countries. If because if they're partnered with countries that some might feel are terroristic, that might kind of be a little problematic. Again, this is all intuitive. So anyway, that's what that feels like. There's more to that, but I don't know if I can get into all of it. So okay. Now, okay, this is interesting. On the economy section, we have the King of Pentacles. So we have another strong authority figure. I think that there are some real, I think there are some people in that government that are trying to fix their economy. But again, this feels like it's kind of all for greed. It's not really what's best for the people. It's more what's going to benefit the people at the top. That's kind of what the feeling I get with that. So, wow, okay. On the horizon again, we have that kind of dictator type of like clenching down, trying to regain control and power. This is kind of a sad card. This is a card of moving on, kind of heartbreak, having to release and walk away from things. And it feels, and I don't know, does this relate to to a possible civil war? The clamp down, the feeling of the dictator coming in may kind of stifle the resistance a little bit more, and people may not be as willing or able anymore to fight back as much as they have been. You know, I don't know if I want to say this. But you know, with this card here, with this feeling of giving out just enough, but not enough, you create this dependency. And when the people are so dependent, I would hope that the people at this level aren't doing that with the ultimate goal in mind of keeping them from rising up. But if if people are starved and they can't take care of their daily needs, it's a lot harder to rise up and fight against their oppressors or against an oppressive regime. That's really heavy if you think about it. And I hope that's not what's going on. I hope it's not intentional. I'm hoping that this is just, these people are just having a hard time getting food and supplies and distributing things fairly. Maybe they're a little dishonest or whatever. I hope it's not more nefarious, that it's intentional so that the people become weak so they can't fight back. Because that's very ominous. Oh dear. I was hoping for something a little more, but this has been on my heart. I don't normally even think about Venezuela, and it just came to me out of the blue. It's like I needed to get this out. So, maybe that is what they're doing down there, that they're keeping their people so dependent on them, and then yet they're not helping them at all. That's a feeling I get. Let's look at the bottom card. The Four of Pentacles. This is a card of the hoarder. Someone who is not willing to change. They don't want to, they're set in their ways. They want their stuff. It's materialistic minded and basically hoarding and control. And that I think is what is going on down there. Now, the people who suffer the most are the average, everyday, ordinary citizens who are just trying to take care of their families and themselves. And those are the people who are suffering the most. I think they've got a few bad apples, perhaps, up in their ranks. I think that they could do a lot better with getting the resources and the food and distributing it better. So I guess the positive takeaway from this is maybe their government could be pressured to stop hoarding and, distribute this. Your people are suffering. Get that out there. You don't need to sit on this. You can give that to the people. So maybe that's the positive takeaway is reversing this picture of this hoarding mentality aspect of this, is that give that out, let your people have, the food and the supplies and the things they need, and when they get that, they'll be, that creates innovation. The people will be able then, if they're not having to, basically survive, they can focus more on their own creative nature and their own creativity, and they can, find work and do things that support their creativity. If you're not having to focus on your next meal, you're more apt to be able to focus on your future. And so that, I think, would be the best thing that could happen, is they have resources. I'm feeling like they're sitting on resources. They're just not giving it out. So they need to give that out. They need to start dispersing that, not being as controlling over the resources. Let the people innovate and let the people have what they need, and spark innovation and spark creativity in people that will help them fix their own lives, so that they're not dependent on people that ultimately could then decide, well, I'm not going to give out. I'm not going to help you anymore. That's a really bad position to be in when you're forced to beg from somebody who isn't really wanting to help you all that much, but that's your only choice. So if we could change that picture down there, maybe, send some prayers down that way, that those people would be able to find the resources that they need to survive, so that they can in turn help to rebuild their economy. It's basically the people together that work to rebuild their country. It's not just, a few people at the top. It's the whole country. It's everybody working together. And when a few people consolidate their power, then, they control all the resources, and the people are left stuck out in the cold with nothing. So my hope is that they can change that the people can start getting the resources they need and can start moving forward with creativity. And that would be the best case scenario, because there's no reason to revolt at that point. There's no reason to have a civil war at that point. So we're just, call on the government to distribute a little more. Not be as greedy, and care about the little guy, care about the little people. Okay, that's enough. That's all I've got on this reading. Thanks for watching, and I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.